Welcome to the NASCAR Truck Series post-race show, NASCAR Camping World Truck Series post-race show, I should say. For Martinsville, and that was crazy. I'm Casey Campbell. We're going to do a lot more of these because I have to experiment with this YouTube channel that we're doing. Nathan Solomon from the Podium Finish, as well as Empire Sports Media, is joining us to talk about, I don't know what that truck race was. It was something.
There's a lot to talk about, that's for sure.
That is. We're going to get all of it in a minute. But first off, you and Rob Tiongson are doing something pretty cool. I know you guys relaunched the Podium Finish live show through, of course, you guys are both, of course, you go to St. Bonaventure. Of course, that's also where Rob went as well. To kind of talk about that, you just did your pilot episode, and I know I've heard you have some big guests coming on.
Yeah, man, we're super excited about this. Podium Finish Live, a podcast and radio show, is back on the air, going to air at least for now on Mondays. That could change eventually, but we've got a lot of guests, bunch of pre-recorded interviews that we're airing for now, and hopefully we'll get some more guests live. But Monday is a huge episode, so if you're looking for something to listen to at noon on Monday, be sure to tune into WSBU 88.3 FM on either radio, TuneIn Radio, or on our website.
You can also hear. I know you also have a show down there as well. Another one throughout there talking about the sports teams that don't do well in your state, including you can also get you ranting about your Jets. You can also get you not agreeing with Aaron Boone coming back.
I know, there's a lot to talk about there.
The Bills, I don't know what they're doing. My God, the Rangers are something. So
Yay.
Yeah, they are. And who knows what the Knicks, I'm not going there. So yeah, but let's talk about this truck series race. It was at Martinsville and it was insane. Lots of things happened. Zane Smith wins the race. And he had to get by a few people to do it. And of course, Todd Gilliland got contact, I think, with Stuart Friesen and didn't win. He was the most dominant truck on the day, ended up finishing 25th. But overall, takeaways from this race, and there's a lot to dissect from.
I don't even know where to start, honestly. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is, kind of just what you're alluding to there. I mean, Todd Gilliland was the truck to beat. He won stage 1, won stage 2, was by far the fastest truck all day. There's a point earlier in the race, or earlier in stage 3, where Zane Smith kind of got it, or he took the lead, and Todd Gilliland ran him down pretty quickly. So he was by far the dominant truck, but didn't matter. He got wrecked there coming to the white flag by Stuart Friesen, who, we'll talk about it a little bit more, the whole lack of respect thing, but whether it was intentional, unintentional, in a sense, it's kind of almost justified for Friesen. He's racing for a champion spot in the championship 4. Gilliland's out. The only way that anyone was going to beat Gilliland was to wreck him, and that's kind of what happened.
Well, technically, Todd Gilliland still has something to race for. I know he's actually in the Final Four for the Owners' Championship. So he actually advanced to that. So they'll be running for the Owners' Championship next week. But the Drivers' Championship, Ben Rhodes, Matt Crafton, Jon Hunter Nemechek, and Ben Rhodes. Zane Smith, I should say.
There you go.
Lots of things are happening today. So Zane Smith got in, was able to get it done for championship, and no secret, Zane Smith has not had the best year this season. And knowing that, and he only had one top 5 finish coming into this year. I know he's had plenty of top 10s, but he only has had one top 5 finish. That was the 4th at Nashville, but got it done, got the win. Also, the most important thing is he's racing for a job next year. Zane Smith does not have a job next year. I've heard some things with what his plans could be. But overall, Zane got it done. And when you're facing adversity and you do not know what you're going to do next year, you go out and you get it done. And he did.
Yeah, surprising win to say the least. I mean, kind of looking at it as previous results, I mean, 29th and 33rd at Vegas and Talladega, so that's kind of surprising. But, he put himself in a position to advance to the round of 8 with a couple strong runs at Darlington and Bristol earlier on in the playoffs. And, as we've seen before, anything can happen in the playoffs. And he, great call by his crew chief to get to get track position, and he was somehow able to hold on there. I mean, he was stuck up in the top lane a few times, and he was able to fight through between him and Gilliland and Stuart Friesen, but right place, right time, got a little bit of help from Friesen there on that green right checkered, but a win's a win.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ben Rhodes. We didn't really talk about Ben Rhodes today. Ben Rhodes is my championship pick early on when we picked, trucks and all that, but he had a pretty quiet day, and he is in the championship 4. This is the first time that he is in a championship 4.
Yeah, P7 for Rhodes. He was kind of in a position there, like we thought Jon Hunter Nemechek was in. We'll talk about that more here in a minute, but where he just needed to have a good day, and he's and he'd advance, right? And that's exactly what he did. He stayed out of trouble. I mean, I think his truck might be the only truck that's really in one piece after today, and quiet day, picked up stage points, and just stayed out of trouble and put himself in a position to advance. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, Matt Crafton is in as well, of course, going for his 4th championship. Again, he had a pretty interesting day. I know he and Sheldon Creed got into it, and also he and Zane Smith got into it as well. The 88 was not happy with a lot of people today.
No, he was not. And I know Creed, of course, was not happy with him, on what was it, about 10, 15 laps ago, when Creed kind of pounded the wall there. He kind of got pinned up by, actually, I think it was Rhodes. Rhodes kind of got into the 88 coming off a 2, and the 88 got into the 2 and kind of just sandwiched him against the wall. And fortunately for Creed, a caution came out like a lap later for an incident not related to that. So if it wasn't for that, I don't know if Creed's tire would have made it, because he really knocked the wall down. So, but it didn't matter. He didn't make it, but yeah, unfortunate little stretch for Creed lately.
Yeah. And the other guy that made it, Jon Hunter Nemechek, and he had a pretty adventurous day. Of course, the most notable incident of the day, Jon Hunter Nemechek was he had contact with the 22 of Austin Wayne Self, and it looks like he and the 22 made it in contact there, and it looks like the 22 got into the 4 and turned the 4 into the wall, ending his day. What's your take on that? Because that was,
I mean, it kind of looked like the 4 of the 22 were racing there for a little while, and if I remember right, I think the 4 was behind the 22, and I think he kind of got up into his bumper a little bit in the corners. Typical Martinsville short track racing, and then the 4 got past him. And then it kind of just looked like the 22 kind of got angry and overdrove the corner a little bit and sent the 4 into the wall nose first and ended his day. He said that it wasn't his intention. He said that just kind of a lack of awareness on his part and misjudgment. I'm not sure about that. Could it be a cover up? It's possible, but from my eyes and your eyes and everybody else watching on TV and everybody in the stand, it looked pretty intentional to me. So it kind of just seemed the 22 got sick of racing the 4 and dumped them.
Yeah. So we talked about all the guys that were in. So Sheldon Creed not making it in. So the defending champion will not have a chance to defend his title. Also not making it in, Chandler Smith, Carson Hocevar, who had an adventurous day himself. And I'm trying to forget who the last one.
Friesen.
Oh, yeah, Stuart Friesen. Oh, and he had a pretty adventurous day as well. Let's start with Friesen, because he got into some interesting situations, including him and the 38 having contact. That was something.
Yeah, Friesen started off the day kind of running around P9. He wasn't great to start. Probably one of the worst of the playoff cars, and he kind of went on that same pit strategy as Zane Smith and Chandler Smith and who else am I missing? The 4 guys that were below the cut line. Zane Smith.
Yeah.
The 4 guys below the cut line, they kind of went on that same strategy for track position, staying out a little longer on older tires, and that ended up working out. And Friesen was a lot more competitive up front. Him and Smith and really the 4 guys outside of the playoffs racing, Hocevar, Hocevar had that restart violation. Otherwise, I think he would have been really in that mix for if they're on those final couple of restarts. But yeah, Friesen, an eventful day. He probably had racing when he was racing up front. He probably had a second place truck. I think Gilliland was definitely better than he was, but I think Friesen was a little bit better than Zane Smith was. But on that last restart, obviously he got into Gilliland, wrecked Gilliland, and then he kind of just lost it going to turn one there in the final lap. If it wasn't for that, I think if he got in front of Gilliland and didn't wreck him and there wasn't a caution, I think he probably would have had a pretty good shot at Zane, just because I think he had a little bit more speed, and Toyota's obviously been strong this year in the truck series.
Yeah, 3 Toyota. We almost had a complete Toyota Racing Championship 4. We have 3 of them in right now, but of course, Zane Smith, the lone bow tie representative from GMS, and the turnaround for the Toyotas in really all of the series so far, but especially in the trucks, they've had a resurgence. So they did a couple things this offseason. Toyota did not have the best year last year. Going from 0 trucks in the championship 4 last year to 3 is pretty good, and almost having all 4 in there. Going out and getting ThorSport to beat Toyotas again, and then going out and getting Jon Hunter Nemechek. That was a recipe for success, because both teams have seen a resurgence under there, and Toyota's been absolutely dominant in the truck series so far this year. But GMS, they have one truck in there. Zane Smith, of course, who was in the championship 4 last year. But Jon Hunter, Matt Crafton, of course, has made it several times. Ben Rhodes and Jon Hunter, they are both in the championship 4 for the first time in their careers. But before we get to that, I know Sheldon Creed had a pretty adventurous day as well. So let's go into that. Of course, the defending champion is not in the championship 4. This is his last race in the truck series. Of course, he's going Xfinity racing with Richard Childress Racing next season. But overall, what do you think of the 2 season?
Kind of on the note of Toyotas, I mean, like I mentioned, Toyotas have been a lot better this year in the truck series, and Chevy GMS kind of hasn't had the speed that they had last year. But Creed kind of he made something for himself winning back-to-back there to open up the playoffs, and kind of looking at Martinsville. Well, in the round of he had a rocky round 8, right? He had like 3 or 4 finishes of like. He had like a 12th and a 19th and a 30 something. It's not a really good stretch for him. But at Martinsville, he kind of had, he was running basically 3rd for the first 2 stages, and then kind of got caught up there towards the middle of the pack, towards the back of the lead lap cars when the pit strategies kind of split. And he could never just really get back up to where he was with all the cautions. And then we mentioned the run-in with the 88 and the 98 kind of just getting pinned up against the wall, and he had a pit, and that put him back even further. So when he restarted with 10 to go, he had to make up, I think, 4 or 5 points on the 52 to transfer, and he did. For the time being, he transferred. How about that? And then Zane Smith, of course, went back ahead and won.
Yeah. Going to be a good one. Championship 4. Who's also pretty happy right now? Besides those championship 4 drivers, Davey Siegel, because Michigan State just beat Michigan. So
they did. Wow.
And they did. Largest comeback in the series since 2004. So
I picked Michigan State to win this game. I knew.
I did too. So
Jim Harbaugh is he's not a good big game coach.
Yeah. That's a debate for another day. Yeah, you'll see more on that too. But overall, let's. I know there was also a lot of good things from the non-playoff guys. Zane Smith finished first. Austin Hill finished second, and for Hattori Racing, I know that they have not had the best year that they've had. Of course, Austin Hill has won a couple races this year, but of course, it's been a pretty good week for Austin Hill, because he's going to go Xfinity Racing. It was announced that he'll be at RCR in a second car. Second car for RCR, so he's going to advance to the Xfinity Series. So good on him. But yeah, before we get on Austin Hill, let's talk about him for a sec. What are your thoughts on him going to Xfinity? He finally gets that opportunity after being in the Truck Series for so long.
Yeah, good for him, man. I mean, he's shown he can win in the Truck Series. Obviously, winning 2 races last year and having a a few other wins to his name. So I think it's something well deserved. He's not like he proved himself in 1 year like some of these other guys, but just over time he put himself in a position where now's the right time for him to move up, change manufacturers, and go into a really competitive ride. I mean, looking at RCR's Xfinity lineup, I mean, they're going to be a tough team to beat next year. It'll be him, Sheldon Creed. Did they announce a car number for Hill
No,
yet?
they haven't. They have not announced a car number.
Okay, so still Creed and Hill on the same team next year in Xfinity. That's a pretty good deal, and I think between the two of them, they're going to win a lot of races. So good for him. Looking to finish strong, obviously, right now in the Truck Series. Has Xfinity experience, has raced a handful of races in Xfinity for Hattori, the team he races for right now. So I don't think it'll be much of a jump for him, and that's the same as Sheldon Creed, who said in his post-race interview he's going to get an Xfinity car next weekend at Phoenix.
Yeah. So also, how about I want to give a shout out to both Tanner Gray and Taylor Gray from DGR. It has not been a good season for Tanner. And obviously not, I mean, last year was a pretty good year. He's been getting some results, but this is actually his first top 5 finish of the season for Tanner. That 15 team has just not had the best year this year. He gets his first top 5 finish of the year. And how about Taylor Gray gets his first top 10 in a truck in just his 4th start? How about that? That's pretty good.
Good for them. I mean, Ford is kind of, outside of Gilliland. I mean, Ford has not really been much of a presence this season. I mean, obviously you got the 3 DGR cars, the Grays and Haley Deegan, who finished 19th after going 4 laps down. So pretty impressive on her part. But yeah, I mean, there's just not really been much speed out of the Fords this year, and there's not very many Fords. I mean, Ford in the Truck Series, now that Thor Sports back to Toyota, is kind of like Toyota in the Cup Series, kind of just in terms of numbers. So
Right.
Good step in the right direction for Ford though, going into next season.
Yeah, I know Tanner and Taylor are definitely a major part of Ford's driver development program, and that's good to see out there. Parker Kligerman finishes 6th on the day. That Anderson truck, that's been pretty good. Good job for that 75 team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that 75 team doesn't have they don't have the best equipment in the world, but Parker's been wheeling it this year. Has a couple top 5s in that truck this year, so good for him.
Yeah. Also, rest of the top 5: Tanner Gray, of course, I said finished 3rd. Chandler Smith 4th. Matt Crafton 5th, as I just mentioned. Parker Kligerman 6th. Ben Rhodes 7th. Taylor Gray 8th. Sheldon Creed finishes 9th. And how about Timmy Hill getting a top 10?
Crazy, man.
Crazy stuff.
Since when does Timmy Hill get top 10s?
Yeah. Also, good. How about a good finish for Corey Heim as well, getting his finishing 11th. Carson Hocevar comes in 12th. Good run for the Young's trucks. Chris Wright in 13th. Spencer Boyd finishing 17th, and the Talladega winner Tate Fogelman finishing 18th. Also a good run for Chris Hacker as well in 16th. So just good stuff there. And Haley Deegan, I know she has not she did not have the best days as well, but she comes home 19th. So it's been an overall good day for a lot of guys. So trying to get in the playoffs as well, but we'll have to see on that. But I want to talk about one more thing, and I know you mentioned it earlier. A lot of drivers, and we listened to a lot of post race before we came on and taped this. This lack of respect thing. It's been a common theme with a lot of these drivers, especially here post race. And we've been talking about this all season long. I just want to get your thoughts on it. And is there, because with some of the issues today, there is.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of got to draw a line, right? There's under the circumstances of today, there's 8 guys racing for 4 spots. Nobody came in locked into this race, right? So, guys got to race hard. They got to race each other hard going to make it into the championship 4. And you don't want to give up anything in that regard. And then you kind of look on, some of the non-playoff drivers. Of course, I understand they have a lot to race for themselves. They're trying to meet sponsorship obligations, prize money, bonuses from NASCAR for top podium points, all that. But at the same time, they still got to kind of respect the veterans of the sport and kind of respect the top 8 in the playoffs. You know, the Jon Hunter situation with Austin Wayne Self is just completely uncalled for Austin Wayne Self, and you know we've seen some of these instances happening throughout the year. So, you know, it's tough for NASCAR to police it because you kind of want, you know, hard racing. You don't want them to get involved too much. You don't want fans to go away, but at the same time, you know, you kind of gotta, you know, I guess drill it into some of these younger guys' heads that, you know, that sometimes, you know, it's not just every man for himself out there. You can't just always wreck somebody to, you know, because you get a little upset or, you know, because you want a position or two.
Yeah, I mean, it's, to me, I don't know where that line is. The thing is, if NASCAR comes in and tries to maybe police things or something, it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because where is the line drawn? Did the line get crossed today? I think that's been the debate, a lot of issues. I'm not sure if the line's been crossed. Actually, yes, the line has been crossed.
Well, with Austin Wayne Self and Jon Hunter, yeah, but I mean, in the grand scheme of the series, you know, that's kind of difficult to gauge.
That's difficult to say, because every race in there, I know a lot of people go back to the Knoxville race and go back to that. I know there were several other things, and it's not just the trucks, Xfinity. I know we've had that in Cup. We had it several times in ARCA this year. So where is the line being drawn, though? Where should the line be drawn?
A lot of it has to do with the circumstances. I mean, there's, you know, at a short track, maybe that line's a little different than something of an intermediate track, because, you know, you're bumper to bumper at a short track, and, you know, that's kind of how you pass, right? You know, give it a little bump and run. But then again, you know, you don't want something like what happened with Jon Hunter and Austin Wayne Self. And, you know, intermediate tracks, or, you know, that's different because, you know, it's a different racing style. You're not bumper to bumper. It's more of the drafting and getting runs and all that. And super speedways, again, that, you know, that's different. It's almost similar to short track in the sense of, you know, you're bumper to bumper, kind of beating and banging a little bit more. So I don't know if there's one specific way you can draw that line, you know.
Yeah, we'll have to see how this all plays out. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But want to get your thoughts on this. But this is gonna be fun. Fun truck race day. Congrats to all the championship 4 that were in. Congrats to Zane Smith. Clutch move right there to get in the championship 4. So Zane Smith, Matt Kraft, and Ben Rhodes, Jon Hunter Nemechek will be the 4 drivers going for the championship next week at Phoenix. We're not done. Xfinity racing coming on. You never know. You might not see Nathan, but you might see someone else. I don't know. We might have something after that. We'll definitely have something tomorrow, but it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. But Nathan, thanks for joining me, and we'll get ready for the Xfinity race, which should be interesting as well.
Anytime.